Hello and welcome to episode 5 of my Git By Example series. If you've missed any of the previous episodes, be sure to check out this playlist up here to get caught up and get subscribed to me so you don't miss any of the future videos. So today we're going to start to tackle branching, which is probably Git's most powerful and important feature. So first, let's discuss what a branch is. So if you remember all of those times throughout the series that we've been typing master, well, master is actually a branch. So there's technically nothing special about the master branch, and it's the same as any other branch, but for the purposes of this discussion, we're going to treat it as the main branch of our project and say that everything stems from that because that's essentially how it ends up working in practice. So if we think of master as our main branch, where we essentially just have a linear progression of commits, then we can think of the other branches as, well, branches off of that master branch with their own commits. So these branches will start with some commit from master as their basis, or it could be a commit that is on another branch. Essentially, branches diverge from other branches, and then those can have their own commits that diverge somehow from those other branches. So they can either just sit there or they can be merged back into another branch somewhere down the line. So another important thing to talk about, just as a piece of parlance that you're going to have to understand, is what is head. So head is essentially the point in your repository that you are currently working on. So this will normally be the most recent commit on whatever branch you're working on, but you can move it by checking out like an earlier commit or something like that, like we discussed with git checkout earlier. So now that we understand how branches work, we can jump into working with them, and yet again, Git provides us with some shortcuts. So the normal way that you would just create a branch is with the git branch command. So what git branch does, I very rarely see this used, is it just creates a branch without actually checking out that branch for you. So if you do use git branch, then after that you're going to use git switch to then go ahead and move to that branch. But you can skip that first step by just creating your branch with git switch -c. So if we do git switch -c new branch or something like that, then you'll see here that my little prompt right here updated, and we are now on a branch called new branch instead. So now that we're on a new branch, we can do work here and it won't touch our master branch at all. So then we can check out back to our master branch to get there, create other branches, and really do anything. This is just another area where we have code. So if you want to switch back to the branch you were previously on, regardless of what it was, you can also just use the shortcut git switch dash. And what this will do is it will go back to whatever branch you were on before. So you can see now we're on master. And then if we wanted to get back to new branch, we could do this again. And that would move us to new branch, but you can also do it by just typing in the name. So this will be just git switch master will move us to master. So one thing I just want to address really quickly is this syntax may actually be unfamiliar to some people who have worked with Git in the past and are just looking to get a really solid understanding here. So you may have expected to see git checkout used and are probably completely unfamiliar with the switch syntax. So git switch is actually a new command that was introduced in Git 2.23, which came out in the summer of 2019. So I'll also go over the git checkout methods to do these things quickly so that you can understand them if you see other people use them. But technically, this is now the more correct syntax, as git checkout was deemed to be too bloated in terms of all the other stuff it was doing. So to move to a branch, we would just do git checkout and then the name of the branch. So if we're on master right now, we can switch to new branch with git checkout new branch, and it will move us to that branch. And to create a new branch and then also move to it, like we saw before with git switch -c, you would do that with git checkout -b, and then you could do another new branch or something like that. And now we are on a branch called another that was just created. So now that we understand how to create and switch to a new branch using those two different methods, I'm going to use switch from here on out though, it is important that we understand how to merge it back into our main branch or any other branches that may be necessary. So we do this with the git merge command. So some aspects of merging can be tricky, and this is probably the place where I see most people get tripped up and then just assume that Git is too complicated. But we're going to go over them right now and break it down to make it easy. So let's say you made some change on a different branch and you wanted to merge it back into master. So let's just do that right now. We can say, just in our README, we'll add this switch was introduced on the another branch. So now we have that, and if we go ahead and save that, and we can just git add dot, git commit -m, add another branch text. So if we just go ahead and do that and commit that, so now if we get status, we will see that we are completely clear. And if we get log, then we will see this. So you can see right now our head is pointing to another. And from our git log, we can see that origin master is still on this branch right here. And this is also where new branch is actually pointing to, as well as our master branch. So that's a very useful feature of git log, that you can go ahead and really see, if you're just going linearly, essentially, what branch all of your things are still on. So if your new branch is strictly further along than your master branch, so that's what we have right here, we just have another commit that's inside this branch called another, then your new branch is based on the latest commit of your master, then you can use the git fast forward strategy, where your master branch will simply get all of the commits from the other branch added into it. So the way that we're going to do this first is we're going to go ahead and switch back to master. So if we go ahead and do that, and then we can simply run git merge, another. So if we go ahead and do that, then you'll see now on our master branch as well, this text is right back here. If you noticed before, this text disappeared when I checked out back to master because it updated our working directory, and now it is back because we merged back in our another branch. So this went ahead and made changes to a README, which are now reflected in master. So that is how you would do it if you have a commit that's strictly different. But now we're going to talk about what happens when your commits diverged. So now we can say this switch. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, if we go ahead and compare our two branches now, we have our master and our another branch right now, right? They are both currently at this commit right here. But our new branch is still stuck back here. So new branch does not have this change right here that says this switch was introduced on the another branch. So let's go ahead and switch over to new branch and make some changes over there. So now if we git switch new branch, I'm just going to use the tab completion there as another thing you can do if you have completion thread installed. And then in new branch, let's say we made some changes to our fake.md file, and we said this is a change from new branch. So now we have a situation where our new branch is going to be a commit ahead in some things. So now if we git commit that, and then we can just say, instead of add another branch text, we can say add new branch text. So now that we have that, if we go ahead and git log right here, so you're going to see that our head new branch is on this commit right here, and in our git log, we don't even see that other commit that was made because we're git logging from new branch. So if we go ahead and use one of the log tools we learned about, we can git log -- all instead. And then if we see here, we have this commit right here, which is where new branch is pointing to. And then we have this commit right here where master and another are pointing to right now, but we're actually skipped by that. So if we actually git log, what was it? Graph, sorry, graph all. And then if we go ahead and do that, then you'll see here that we have this showing our diversion. So new branch is what we're on right now, and this commit right here from master another is actually branched off, if you see right here. So this does not lead from this commit, it actually skips this commit and just heads down here to their common ancestor, which is this commit right here. So if we were to want to go ahead and merge these now, Git would end up using something called the recursive strategy. So let's say we just wanted to switch these changes back into our master branch. So we'll just git switch back over to master. And now if we run git merge new branch, so now you'll see here, if we do this, it's going to make a recursive merge. So right here, I still have this messed up that Git is trying to use VS Code as our editor right here, which is a little bit annoying. So now if we go ahead and git log though, you will see that master is now onto here, and it just has this stock commit message right here that says merge branch new branch. So this, you'll also notice, this does not have the commit message that we had right here, add new branch text. And that's because when we do something with the recursive strategy, which is essentially it creates a new commit that will reflect all of the changes that you made in your other branch based off of the most recent commit in master. So it's just trying to figure out a way to reconcile those changes. So this is going to work most of the time when you have changes that are not affecting the same file. And it's just another method of merging where you're going to essentially just have a different commit that puts in all of your changes. So now finally, we're going to talk about the scenario where you have merge conflicts. So what a merge conflict is it's when two of the commits that need to be combined for a merge change the same line or blob of text, and therefore they're incompatible with each other. So when you run git merge in this situation, the command will stop a bit of the way through and ask you to address it. So let's make an example of that right now. Let's go ahead and create a new branch, and we'll just call it conflict branch right here. So now we are on something called conflict branch. And what we're going to do now is we'll make some incompatible changes between this and master. So then let's just add to this line and just say this is from conflict. And then on this line right here, we'll just add another thing that just says this is also from conflict. And then what we will do, oh, sorry about that. And now we'll save that, and then we'll just git commit that -am, add conflict text to conflict to fake. So now that we have that commit set up, we can go ahead and we'll just switch on back over to master right here. So now we are on master, and we're going to make some changes that are going to conflict with that. So here we can just let's add something that's not going to conflict right up here first by just adding some new lines and say this is a change from master. And then over here, we're going to add some text at the end of this line that says this is also a change from master. So now both of these have both edited this line right here. Actually, let's just so that you can understand that it's the same line more easily, let's do it like that, although that example would work too. So now that we have that, so now we can just go ahead and to fake from master. So now we have that, we have two commits on two different branches that are in conflict with each other. So our thing in conflict branch edits this line, and so does our thing in master, and they diverge. So if we just go ahead and git log --graph all as before, you will see we have this branch off right here, where conflict branch differs from our thing on master, and they are both making edits to the same file. So if we actually went ahead and did that, yeah, so that is going to be the issue that we're dealing with here. So now we're going to talk about how we actually merge. So now let's just go ahead and try to merge it. So if we just go ahead and try to merge in conflict branch, then you're going to see here, auto merging fake.md conflict content, merge conflict in that. So now if we go ahead and look here, we are going to see some changes in our file that Git actually put there that go ahead and reflect our changes. So what this is essentially going to mean is that this is going to be the changes that we have to resolve the conflict. We are now going to want to make this file that is going to look how we want it to look in the end, and then after that we're going to head and do it. So there are two ways to do this. Either you could just go ahead and edit this file right here, or you could use a tool. So if you see here from the Git extension for VS Code, I actually have some options here that just say like accept current change and accept incoming change for this little block of text right here. And from that, what I can do is I could just click on one of these and it would do it. The other option would just be to manually go ahead and change this file to look how I want it in the end. And then finally, we can use something that is built into our system. So we can try Git Merge Tool. So what Git Merge Tool is going to do is it's going to look for a tool on your system and then go ahead and try to figure out how to resolve it. So this is going to try to find a tool on your system that's good for this. In this case, we're going to use OpenDiff. Okay, so this is having an issue with OpenDiff, but you can go ahead and look into that if you want. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is just do this from our tool anyway. So if we just do accept the current change, then you will see that here now it's just going to make the file look like it did from the master branch because that is what we were working off of. So let's say we just wanted to end up using the master branch for this merge anyway. So then once we are done with that merge right here, we can just go ahead and finish up by just, once we have that up here, I just want to show you the message that it actually gives you so that you can see for yourself, but this is giving me some trouble scrolling. Okay, there we go. So now if we go ahead and do that, then you will see here that what this is going to do is fix conflicts and then commit the result. So now this is how the file looks after we dealt with our merge errors. So now we can just git commit -am, and we will just say this is going to be merge in conflict branch. So I know here we didn't actually end up accepting any of the changes from conflict branch because of how we resolved it, but that is fine. That is one of the options of the way to do this. And then once you're done with that, that is an option essentially. So now that we are done with merging, we're going to talk about how to delete branches, because generally once you merge in a branch, it is good practice to delete it. So to do this, you're just going to go with git branch -d, and then the name of the branch. So here we just merged in conflict branch, so it's going to go ahead and delete, and since we merged it in, it's going to let us delete it with no issues. We can also go ahead and do that for our other branches. So we had another and new branch. So those were both also merged in, so we can just go ahead and delete those. If you have one that's not merged in and you want to delete it, then you're going to have to do this with an uppercase D to force it. So finally, let's take a second to talk about remote branches. So branches from your remote will be named by the remote name, which is going to be origin most of the time if you only have one remote, followed by a slash, and then finally the name of your remote branch. So you can update these remote branches with git fetch, which we talked about earlier, which will get your remote changes for them. And that will be one option of how to do that. So then you can also create a local branch that tracks from a remote branch. So let's say there's a remote branch already on your server somewhere, and you want a local branch that's going to track from that. So how you're going to do that is you can just simply do git checkout. I'm just going to type this out, but I'm not going to run it because I don't have an example for that set up. So git checkout -- track, and then the name of the remote, which is going to be like origin, and then the name of the branch. So this will create a local branch with the same branch name right here that's going to track from the remote branch. So if you want to set up, instead do it the other way and set up one of your local branches that you've already created to track a remote branch, then you can simply switch it to by running git branch -u remote/branch, and then it will track from that remote branch. And then finally, you can set up and see what branches you have set up to track from which remotes with git branch -vv, which is then going to go ahead and show you this right here. We only have master that's tracking from a remote branch. So, and finally, if you want to delete a remote branch, you can simply run git push origin --delete and then the name of the branch, and that will delete the branch on your remote. So that is going to be it for this one. I will see you in the next one, where we're going to continue our discussion of branches by covering rebasing. But first, we can just go ahead, and now that we have our master branch updated slightly, we can just do git push origin master, and that will update that. And if you notice this syntax right here, if we look at how that looks, this is actually just the name of the remote and then the name of the branch. So if you have things set up to track from remotes, you can do this same thing with other branch names, and that's actually going to be crucial to how you open pull requests on GitHub, which is something we'll get into a little bit later. So I will see you next time. We're going to talk about rebranching. I hope you enjoyed. Like this video if you learned something from it, and be sure to get subscribed to me so you don't miss any of the future episodes. Goodbye.